Alright guys, so the 8.1 lesson in-class notes that we did to make sure that you guys got everything correct. Some teachers did the quizzes, activities, some did not. The problems that were skipped, let's go ahead and go over those real quick. Please, I hope that you tried these on your own because I made it as easy as possible for you guys. The first one, number 2, I wanted you to do exactly like number 1. I've already highlighted my colors over here to make this shorter. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to go quick, so pause if you need to. I'm going to draw my big triangle first. I'm going to draw my little leg, my big leg, notice the difference between the sizes, and connect to make my hypotenuse. Here's my 90-degree angle. How I'm going to determine where the letters go. Again, right here is my 90-degree angle of my big triangle. That's that letter G. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb up the little leg, looking like stairs here, up to F, and there we go. Then I'm going to slide down the hypotenuse, and we'll find that H. And I'm going to follow that order with my triangle's name. I'm going to climb up the ladder. I'm going to start at G, climb up the ladder, get to F, and then slide down the hypotenuse to H. I'm going to follow that pattern with the other 2 triangles as well. The next one, we're going to redraw the exact same orientation as triangle GFH. Here's my little leg. Here's my big leg. Here's my 90-degree angle and my hypotenuse. We see here that the 90-degree angle on this one is right here at J. So we're labeling J right here. Now I got 2 legs. I got JH and I got JG. Okay? JG is my shorter leg, so I'm going to climb up that ladder to get to G. And I'm going to slide down the hypotenuse to get to H. That's also how I will name this. Start at the bottom at J, climb up the little leg ladder to G, and then slide down the hypotenuse to H. Last triangle, the small one. Here's my little leg. Here's my big leg. 90-degree angle and my hypotenuse. Now, even though you do not see a right triangle on here, you need to remember that with an altitude, as we learned first semester, we not only have a 90-degree angle on one side, but we have a 90-degree angle on the other. So J is going to be the point at which we have the 90-degree angle on our small triangle. So again, let's start at that 90-degree angle. Let's climb up the short leg ladder to F, and then slide down our hypotenuse to G. Giving us triangle, start at the bottom J, go climb the little leg ladder to F, slide down the hypotenuse to G. Here we have now identified our 3 similar triangles. Okay? Number 3, you should have already watched the Canvas Studio video, so you should have all of this stuff filled in and everything right here, everything labeled, so you know exactly how we have this proportion. That is where I left you. You were supposed to solve this on your own. I'm really hoping you did, and you're just checking your answer. Guys, this is cross multiply, divide. That's all we're doing here. Cross multiply 6.3 times H gives me 6.3H. We set that equal to the product of 3.1 times 5.5. This is going to give us 17.05. Then our last step is divide by that 6.3. When we divide 17 500ths by 6.3 or 6 300ths, we need to make sure that we are paying attention to our instructions. So many students get this wrong on the quizzes activity because they were rounding incorrectly. Thousandth of a meter. How many numbers by the decimal is that? Well, 1,000. Look at the number 1,000. How many zeros are in 1,000? 3. So I want 3 numbers behind the decimal. So when I divide this out, I'm going to get 2.706. 3 numbers. 2 and 706 thousandths. Okay, final answer there. The next page, we dealt with what the geometric mean is and where it derives from and how we get our formula, and then we simplify just like we've been dealing with. Now, what I did was I went ahead and showed you guys again the video. It starts off as a proportion here. Your bottom left and your top right will always, 100% of the time, and geometric mean will always be the exact same letter or number. Okay? Always. When we do our cross product, we get our x squared equals the a times the b. So that's what I've set up here. You do not have to start here. You can start this point. You can start here, or you can start here, whichever one you choose to. So here, how do we get into that x squared equals a times b? Well, here we have x squared is equal to 15 times 20. 15 times 2 is going to give me 30. Add that extra 0 on there, gives me 300. Now we've learned the opposite of squaring a number. To get rid of that square, you learned this in middle school, junior high, with Pythagorean theorem. Square root of square, they cancel out. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we wind up with x equals the square root of 300. So now between the proportions, the x squared, and the x equals the radical, you're seeing these three different setups. So now you have a couple options. I know we've been focusing on simplifying fractions of figuring out, I'm going to rewrite this up here, our largest perfect square that we can divide into the radicand. Here, it's going to be 100, so we have the square root of 100 times the square root of 3. We know the square root of 100, or should start getting to know, is going to be a whole number of 10. 3 is a prime number, so we take the square root of a prime number, we're done. You can't do anything, you just bring him down. Okay, and there's our answer. Now I have a lot of students who are doing the factoring method, and that's the first way I showed you on the left-hand side on number 4. There's nothing wrong with the factoring method instead of finding, or if you don't even want to multiply these numbers, which is what I did up here, that is fine. Another thing is I've seen students tell me, okay, let me do this a different color, kind of differentiate. If I have x equals the square root of, we could just do the 15 and 20. 15 times 20 instead of actually multiplying it. You have to be careful. Here we're going to wind up with 3 times 5. Once I've factored these out, I'm done with this number. I don't want you getting confused with that. Over here, I'm going to wind up with a 5 times 4. So I'm done with that 20. 3 is prime, 5 is prime, 5 is prime, 4 is not. So we need to factor this out to 2 times 2. Again, since I have factored that 4, I'm done with it. I'm not done with this guy, though, so that's where it can get a little confusing. Sometimes when you do this, your pairs aren't even together like these, so you have to be super careful with that. Here, we have our radical house. I got my 2 pairs, so my 5s are going to go outside for a 3-legged race together. The 2s are going to go outside and join. That little 3 right here has nobody to join, so he's going to stay inside. And then we take that product of 2 times 5. We get the 10 square root of 3 again. So you have several different ways, whatever's easiest for you to do. Okay? The next section of geometric mean with altitude, I did everything on the video for you. All right? Lastly, that was your PAP. Now we're going to talk about your help. I went through this whole first section with you on the video, and then I actually did not put this on here. And I did this in another class period too. This should be an H. Sorry. HLLP. Hypotenuse over leg 1 over part 1. Remember, bottom left, top right, always the same thing. Bottom left, top right, always. Remembering that we cannot use 5 as our part, even though 2 and 5 are the parts. We can't use 5 because we're using this leg where the Y is. So we have to use the part that is adjacent and attached. That's why we use that 2. So again here, let's cross multiply. We're going to get y squared equals 7 times 2, which is going to give me 14. Square root to get rid of the square, we get y equals the square root of 14. Square root of 14 is going to be one of those you want to memorize. It's going to already be simplified. You cannot divide it by a perfect square. Also, if you look at your factoring, I know that my students have shown, division tower. If you go quickly to do that, divide by the smallest prime number, 2. You get 7. Well, you have another prime number, so can't do anything. We're simplified. Number 8, I set everything up for you. I even reminded you. Oh, so many students got this wrong in class. They got almost there. They found W and answered it, but they forgot right here. We want the entire height of the gym, which is W plus this 5. I had it all set up for you. Again, bottom left, top right, geometric mean, always the same. I don't care if it's a number or a letter. They have to be the same. You will be squaring those two. Okay, so here we have W times 5 will give you 5W, and then your 8.5 squared. 8.5 times 8.5. Why push all those buttons? Just put 8.5 squared. This is going to give us some big number. I think it was like 72.25. Okay. Then when we divide both sides by that 5 to get rid of the coefficient, W is going to come out to 14 and 45 hundredths. This is where a lot of students forgot, even though I warned them in the video and in class, we have to take that W and we have to add, well, let's do, I'm not lining up my decimals there. We have to take that and add that extra 5 right here. And this is where we come up to the height is going to be 19 and 45 hundredths. There you go.